Hey, what's up, Jeff? This is a demo video for you for a very special Saber that you've been waiting a long time on and that a lot of people have come together to make happen, right? This is the Eviscerate Saber by Nevin Varner over at Space Junk Sabers. This is the wildest Saber that I have ever installed, and I've done quite a few. And this guy is just probably I'm the most proud that I was able to install this. But there is a lot of things going on with this. I did make a few modifications. There were some modifications done along the way before it got to me, but I did make a few modifications this morning in order to get this to the point that I felt that it was good enough to send out to you. Even with those modifications, there's a certain way to set this up, right? A certain way to set this up. But before we get into the Saber, let's talk about the other people who came together for this. Obviously Nevin over at Space Junk, right? Because he made it. Benji, my buddy Benji Graham over at Nerf Herder Customs made the custom blade plug. I've got that right here. It's a sweet blade plug. It goes really good with this Saber. It fits in nice and snug, but not too snug that you can't pull it out with your fingers. So that it looks very good to go with this Saber. Preston Bannister over at Syndicate Sound Fonts. I apologize, Preston, because I know that you call that something different now. I think it's Syndicate Sound Relic or Syndicate Relics. I apologize. I'll put the link in the description. But he made the custom sound font that goes with this Saber. And I believe that after this demo, he may be releasing it for sale. But we'll get into that, obviously, when we fire this guy up, right? And then Jeremy Moon over at Moon Custom Armory made this sweet plaque for it. Let me grab it right here. I'm trying to be very careful with it. But if you can see that, if you can see the nameplate, right? It says by Space Junk Sabers, installed by me, Solo Sabers, and then Moon's Custom Armory display. This thing is amazing. And then if I can very carefully, because I'm super nervous about doing it, put the Saber on this guy. Something to that fashion right there. I'm not going to totally let go of it because I put so much work into it. I don't want to drop it. But that's what it looks like. And this is an amazing stand. Super cool. This has been sitting in my living room boxed up for the last couple weeks until I got this Saber done, driving my family crazy, right? Because I wouldn't even open it, but because I knew what was in it. So, that's truly amazing. And something cool that Jeff did for us, I will say it now in the demo because he wanted me to cover it. For each of us that worked on it, he got us one of these. So one of these Mudhorn skulls. It's super cool. I've got one for Benji, Nevin, and Jeremy Moon. I got your guys's here, and I will be getting your guys' addresses and shipping them off to you. And along with this Mudhorn, he also purchased the sound font from Preston for each of us. So we each get the sound fonts. I thought that was super cool of Jeff. Jeff's one of those guys in the hobby, man. He's been a super good customer for me, turned into a good friend of mine, and he's super supportive of not only me, but he supports all you guys, right? I'm always seeing him comment and support you guys. He was one of the first to buy my Benji shirt last night that I dropped. He actually bought two of them. That dude's just a super cool dude. So that's what he did for all of us. And I'll get with you guys to get your addresses, right? And then now on to the Saber. This is installed with a Proffie V2. It's got Shtok NPXLs in here, the V3 NPXL. So if you can see that down in there, you'll see it better when I light it up. But this is the V3. Very bright, very cool, lights everything up, looks really good. I'm going to put the blade plug back in for now because we're going to light that first. Install with the Proffie V2. I don't remember if I said that or not already. It's got 28 millimeter Smugglers Outpost Elite Speaker here in the back. Now how you get to this is you open it from this horn. You just do that carefully because it's super tight. It's only in there for about 3 threads. Now originally, one of the main modifications I did to this Saber was originally Nevin had these threads about to here, which was nice, right? It locked in nice. It was probably These threads came out probably I don't know, 0.55 inches or so, right? And I dropped these threads down. I lopped them off to about 0.28 inches. The reason I did that was because of the speaker. The speaker is held in by magnets. I've never done it this way before, but you need to, something about this Saber. It does not have a core inside this Saber that has a consistent ID or like a consistent inner diameter. So for us installers that like to make chassis or just install in general, you'll have a straight tube in your Saber no matter what the Saber looks like on the outside. So if a 0.99 inch or 1.2 inch diameter chassis you can make, and it slides all the way in this guy and you're good to go. This Saber is literally hollow bone on the inside. You can't see it very good right here, but so your speaker is right there. You pop it out like this, and you're going to do that with your hand. If you do it with enough force, it comes out because it's just got two magnets on there, just like that. And then the Shtok speaker pin PCB is how this guy makes contact with the board, and that's how you get your sound. Okay, and then that little indentation in there that you see on the bottom right here, that is for clearance for your kill switch that I have in here. Now this Saber runs an 18350 battery. I could not fit an 18650 battery inside of it because there's a screw right here, and this screw goes all the way down and it connects to the other side, and it's literally what's holding this bone piece in. But because of that, it goes right through the middle of the Saber, and I could not fit an 18650 battery in for as much as I had to push this chassis in. Now I don't typically do slide chassis. I don't necessarily agree with it. It was an industry standard not long not long after I started doing stuff like this, and then we kind of like moved forward and morphed to the disconnect chassis that you see me do a lot. But because this was hollow bone in here, the diameter changes in this guy is crazy, right? That I had to make a small chassis, as small as I could possibly get it. It was only about probably 1.7 inches long, and the board itself is 1.5, right? To fit everything that I wanted to in here. Now, if you could see there, you've got your board. You got your board up here, easy access to your micro USB and your SD card. You got those speaker pins that we were talking about. You got your kill switch right here, and those two magnets, right? Those two magnets are what line up the speaker and hold it in place. But this chassis only goes in a certain way, and it's going to take you a few times to get it before you feel, exactly where it needs to go. It's okay to twist it, like so. When it comes out, and we're going to take the kill key out. We're going to put the speaker in, and then we're going to put it back in. When we put it back in, we're going to kind of twist it clockwise a little bit. It has to go past the threads that this pommel screws onto. And that brings me back to this modification that I did, right? It was my original intent to put this speaker on magnets and have this pommel push the speaker all the way back, push the speaker in the chassis all the way back and everything, and lock it in. But what I found was when I put too much pressure on the speaker, it was disengaging my magnets, or it was throwing the speaker off kilter, because the speaker pod is a larger diameter than the actual chassis, because I needed the chassis to be able to slide in to this thinner diameter piece. So in order to do, it's a thin diameter up here towards the front, and then it widens out real big up here towards the back. But in order to get it to fit, the chassis had to be the same diameter as the front of the Saber, right? So it's loose up here and it's tight back here, right? Where was I going with this? Okay. So yeah, it was my original intent to use all of the threads that Nevin had and push up against the speaker and lock everything in place. But when I did that, I put too much pressure on the speaker and I was disengaging it from the pins. So that's why I came back here and I lopped off a lot of these threads, almost half of them, right? So now when you lock in this pommel, you're only locking it in about 2 threads worth, but it's nice and tight. It stays in place and everything works good. Let's grab this chassis. Now the chassis will slide out like that, so you can get to your board if you ever want to mess with your config or whatever, but if you don't, that's fine too. And we'll just come over here and pull the kill key. Obviously, you're not going to hear any sound. Now, if you take this speaker and you make sure that that indentation is the same, you know, it's facing down just like your recharge port, and you put it up here, all the magnets do the rest of the work. It lines itself up. So if I were to turn it on just like this, we're good to go, right? But now we have to get the chassis back into the Saber and get the pommel on. That's the hard part. So we're going to twist it clockwise a little bit. Push it in there. I've done it a few times, so it seems to like want to go to its home a little bit better, right? But a lot of times I'll take this Saber and I'll turn it on. I'll turn it on right here while I put the pommel on. Now I'm only clocking this pommel. Let me make sure I get it on straight. Alright, now I'll turn it off. I'm only doing 2 threads or so. The way I'm clocking this pommel is I'm making, so this Saber kind of, it curves down this way, and then I'm making the tail end of it curve back up. So it's almost an S shape, and that's how I envisioned it. Not sure if that's how Nevin envisioned it or not. If not, you can clock it down low, but I like to clock it up here. And the reason I leave the Saber on while I'm doing that is because I'll know if I don't have the chassis in right and I'm lopping my speaker off the pins, then I won't get any sound while I'm turning this, and I'll need to go back and I'll need to do that again, right? There's a lot to this guy. It's the best that I could do. I'm not the best in the world at this. You know, I tend to know a few things, but this was the solution that I came up with in order to get this Saber to work. So now that we've got this Saber, this thing is loud. You see your blade plug lighting up, right? So obviously you got swing on, you got twist off, because I did make sure that although the hilt was curved, I made sure that at the point where the chassis gets pushed into the Saber, it is in perfect alignment with the emitter. So swinging on is easy anyway, but twisting off's a breeze too. Just like that, right? So when we take this blade plug out, these things are bright, right? You've got a 2-button setup. So Nevin put this cool greebly on here, and he drilled 2 holes for it. And this has 2 5mm tactile switches in it. I was going to go lower on the tactiles so that they had more of a, almost of a flush feel. But then with the Saber being the way it was, I kind of liked the tactiles being up and being easy to push. So your top switch is going to be your activation, and then your bottom switch is your auxiliary. And we are on the sound font now that Preston made for this. This is called the Mudhorn, or just Mudhorn, right? So we're going to throw a blade in this guy. It takes a 1-inch diameter blade, and I am going to use the blade retention and clean. has an awesome sound font that Preston made, and it goes very well with this saber. Like it's a mud horn. This is a horn, right? So like it probably couldn't go any better, right? Yeah, so that is Preston's Mudhorn font. You have a lot of fonts, but something that you do for me that I really appreciate is you put all of your sound fonts into a folder. You actually make your own config. So when it comes time for me to lock this guy down, I simply just download what you give me, put that stuff on the SD card, and then I load up your config, and then everything works fine. So we can go to the next sound font.
Bo-Katan sent me. The child.
Go through a few of these.
The child.
This is the light side version, right? You're probably not going to see this on camera, but this has like kind of a nice subtle flicker to it. It's almost like a lava lamp. I'm not sure what this blade style is, but it's very cool.
The dark saber. It belongs to you. The dark saber. It belongs to you.
I'll do one more.
Are you a Jedi? I am.
This saber is just straight beast mode.
He is strong with the Force, but talent without training is nothing. Come, little one.
So now we're going to take the blade out. Being an 18350, I probably drained it. The battery doesn't last as long as an 18650, but you know, it's just like the MK1. It's more of a show saber. This is absolutely a show saber. This is not for going and beating on trees, right? Or beating your neighbor. This is for something that it's a shelf piece, which I know you're going to do anyway. Some sabers have that nature, like the MK1 and then this guy too, especially the MK1 when you have a Rudy Pando chamber in it. So we'll throw the blade plug back in, and then we'll go over putting the kill key in. I do not use the blade retention for the blade plug because it fits in there nice and snug. So I've never had to use that. When we go in here, we just want to unscrew the pommel. It is tight, but it goes. Take the pommel off. You got your speaker right there, so you want to cup your hand and kind of have that chassis come out. If the chassis comes out on you, that's fine. And then we're just going to come in here and put our kill key in, just like that. Now, one thing about this kill key, I lopped two sides off of it. So it used to look circular in nature, like this. I lopped the top off and the bottom off, or the left and right, however you want to look at it, so that it's basically looks like this now. If you can see that. There, you can see that a little bit better in the light, right? And that it has to be lined up that way so that the speaker fits in it when the kill key's in it. Just like that. And then we'll put it in here. And then lock this back down. Just like that. Now the Saber's got the kill key in it. It's in the off position, and then you could put it back on this badass plaque that Jeremy made, right? I'm going to show this one more time because I think it's awesome. Just like that. And yeah, that is your Saber. Let me know if you got any questions. I know it, so I know that it took me a long time. Appreciate your patience. This is one of those Sabers that I had to keep coming back to. I'd think about it for a little bit. I'd have a chassis idea. It's not something that would have worked, so I had to go back to the drawing board and figure out what I was going to do. So I took my time thinking about this guy because I wanted to get it right when I did it. So I appreciate your patience. Let me know if you got any questions, and if not, this and the plaque will go out to you in the mail Tuesday, because I think Monday the postal service is closed for the holiday. All right, thanks, buddy.